Today we'll be making an easy pop-up card using the One Lucky Day paper pack from Taylormade Cards for You. Hello and welcome to Debbie J's Crafting Corner. I'm Debbie and each week I show you how you can create awesome cards and other crafty projects. Because if I can make it, you can too. So if you'd like to see more tutorials and inspirational videos, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. You'll also want to check out Taylormade Cards for You's monthly challenge. There's a link to the challenge below for you to get all of the details. We will have a new theme each month, but the challenge is anything goes. And this month's prize is a $10 gift code from Taylormade Cards for You. You'll also find a discount code over there for 20% off of your digital order from Taylormade Cards for You. So here are the images that I'm using for today's projects, and as usual I did print some extras. I'm using my ScanNCut today to cut the ephemera pieces out, and since the background for each of those is so light, I'm adding a little pencil line around each of the sheet music ones. Next, I'll scan the page into my ScanNCut. So I select Scan and then Direct Cut. And then I'm going to tell it to just use the machine to do all the calculations on it. Since this is a larger piece, I'm also making sure that the scan area is 12 by 12. So that goes on into the machine, and then it's going to bring up an image to the screen of what I just scanned in. Next, I'll use those little arrows to frame the image. So this time around, it did not recognize the shapes of each of those pieces of ephemera, so I'm going to try something a little bit different and start over. I'm still going to cut out the circles, but I'm going to use the pattern setting and just pick out a circle shape from the patterns and use that as my basically as my cutting line, and it's about 3 inches, so I'm just resizing that down. Now I'm going to scan in the image of my paper again so I'll know where to position those circles. So now I just need to drag that down and create 3 identical ones and make sure each of those is centered around the 3 images. And now I can just tell my machine to go ahead and cut those out. So select Cut and Start. It is set on half cut, but that's because I'm using this as contact paper as my sticky mat. At some point I am going to be making some changes to it and trying out a couple of other techniques for doing a restick, and I'll share those with you guys later. So I'll probably need to change the settings on my ScanNCut again when it comes time to cut again. But this is working out perfect. It's cutting exactly on that circle, so those are all done. Next, I'm going to go ahead and create the card base pieces for my little pop-up. I am using regular weight cardstock from Michaels instead of the heavyweight that I normally do, and I'm going to be creating a small little pop-up piece right in the center of that card. So I'm going ahead and drawing, just sketching out where I want to have that. It's about an inch wide for that little piece, and then I'm going to just use my ruler and basically draw it out so it's about an inch deep also. So I'll go ahead and measure that out and draw that in on both parts. And next I'm just going to take my scissors and cut that in. This is so much easier than the way I tried it the first time with a craft knife and all of that. You don't really need to. It's so easy to do just with picking out where you want to have the pop-up show up and using your scissors. Now you just pop that piece in and you've got that little shelf that whatever your pop-up piece is going to be will fit perfectly on. So next I'm going to take some of that pattern paper that I printed out and use that as the background on the inside of my card. Now I'm not real big on decorating the inside of cards, but that is so appropriate for this type of card. And I think the contrast between that dark green stripe was perfect to go along with our little circle image. So I'm going ahead and measuring again where the pop-up is so I can cut a piece out of the pattern paper so this will fit perfectly on there. Since I'm doing a panel for both the top and the bottom, they're going to be identical with that little notch, so I'm going ahead and cutting them both at the same time. Next, I'll just adhere one of those down using a dot liner adhesive. Since this is just the background, it doesn't need to be super strong adhesive, so dot liner works perfectly. And then I'm just lining up the end with the notch with the center of my card and laying that down. I still have that little flap there. Now you could adhere it down, but I decided just to cut it off because it wasn't really needed and it's not really going to be seen behind my pop-up. Now I'm basically doing the same thing with the other side. This time I go ahead and cut the flap off first, and then I'm going to go ahead and just add that dot liner adhesive to that whole panel again. For this one, I'm just lining up that on the inside with the pattern paper down so that I can just fold the card closed and it's a perfect fit. Now I've got my pop-up mechanism all done. Next I'm going to go ahead and start the decorating. So I've cut out some extra circles of that same size as our little circle sentiment with the cute little Irish folks, and I'm just layering that up. I did 2 layers of regular cardstock and then that image, and now I'm adding adhesive to one side of that little pop-up shelf and adhering that little circle piece down. If you fold it down on there, it goes as a perfect fit and it holds up perfectly. Decided that I did want to have the inside of my card be my matting instead of this piece. I just didn't want it to be that thick on the inside, so I'm trimming on the 3 sides so it'll give a little extra space for when I put it inside the actual card base. And then of course I want to add this little piece of sheet music in there as part of the background decoration, so I'm just putting that one in place. Next, it's time to decorate the front. I'm pulling out this stamp set from Colorado Craft Company called ScanNCut and taking a couple of sentiments from that. I'm just going to stamp those down onto some scrap of white cardstock and then heat emboss that in gold with my Recollections detail embossing powder. Next, I pulled out my Fiskars paper trimmer and I'm just trimming down those sentiments again just so that they have just a slight border around them and they'll do nicely on the card. For the front, I picked another one of the pattern papers. This one is a softer green and has a bunch of little cupids on there. I think that is just adorable. So I'm going ahead and just adhering that down again with my dot liner adhesive, and then I'll add that little sentiment, "Let the shenanigans begin." I'm going to put that on the front as well. Since the fun part of the card is on the inside, I am leaving the outside pretty plain, so that's all the embellishment really that's going to go on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and add that second sentiment to the inside. So this sentiment is an old Irish blessing. That's what it says on there. It says, "May you have warm words on a cold night, a full moon on a dark night, and the road downhill all the way to the door." Now I did decide to add a little bit more embellishment to the front, couldn't really resist, so I'm just adding some gold Nouveau drops to the front in a few places, and that's going to basically finish up this card. I hope that this inspires you to create something great, and I would love to see what you create. So come join my Facebook group, Crafting with Debbie, and show us your creations. I've left a link down below. And be sure to also check out all of the other crafters on the Taylormade Cards for You design team. I know that they will have a lot of inspirational projects for you to see. Here are a couple more videos that I know you'll enjoy. Thanks for watching, and remember, if I can make it, you can too. See you next time.